Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be doing a basic Dragon Ball Z Fighterz Avatar tutorial for VR chat. Uh, so let's get right into it. So first off, you're going to delete all these. First off, you'll delete those, and then we're going to come up here and go to import, and then GTLF. All direct ports of Fighterz to Blender will come in GTLF. If it does not come in that format, I recommend finding a way to get like the direct like files and everything. You can use UModel or you can ask a friend or whatever. I have all mine ripped and shit from Fighterz and everything, so we're going to start this tutorial by waiting for my downloads folder to load because that's where they're at. So bear in mind that this isn't going to be a way to optimize them. This is just a basic tutorial on how to do it and what to do. We're gonna start in Blender. Make sure you're using the latest version of Blender, or actually whatever version you use, but I am using the latest. So if you're gonna be following this tutorial, please use the latest version of Blender. And you're going to need a few other things. They're going to be up on the screen now. You're going to need the Dragon Ball Fighterz shader made by Fighterz. Thank you so much for making this shader, Fighterz. If you see this, you are a godsend. And then you're going to need the latest updated version of Unity that VR chat uses, which will be put on screen now. And then you're going to need the VRChat SDK itself, which can be found on the website. Today we're just going to be working on, like, I don't know, Goku. So we have Goku here, and there's going to be a bunch of folders. All the characters are organized by, like, name tags. Goku is GKS. But there's going to be a bunch of folders. It's going to be confusing depending on how you have your model. But we're going to just go here and go to Mesh. There's going to be a bunch of these. Each one is a different form. So like Goku S is Super Saiyan, Goku L is Super Saiyan 3, and Goku D is default for, you know, base form. We're just going to open this up. Now, it's going to be really confusing, like seeing all this, like, whoa, what the hell's going on, right? Go away. We're going to hide this. We're going to press H on the skeleton itself. You can also hide it up here by pressing the I. But you just press H to hide it, and then there's a bunch of stuff on the model itself, like a bunch of stuff, and it's gonna be confusing. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on the mesh itself, go to object mode, edit mode, and everything's gonna be automatically selected. But if you accidentally click off or something, you can just press A to select everything. Then we're gonna press P and separate by material. Now everything is separated. You can also press tab to go between whatever mode you're in, edit mode. There's a lot of stuff on the model, and what we're going to remove because we don't need is this like gloop. I don't know what you would call it. This shit. We're going to delete it. And then we're going to go over here. You see this cube down here. We don't need that. I call it like the gum on the shoes. Now the rest of this we will need. But this right here, these blocks all over the model, this is for the damage, like the damage decal, which for this tutorial I'm going to delete because I don't need right now. And so there. And now we're going to be setting up the via seams themselves. This right here is the decal, and this is the base mesh. You can see here like dummy material 0, dummy material 3. That's just what the materials are called. But we're going to be doing a basic tutorial, so the like complex stuff is going to be later in other videos. So this is with the knowledge that you should have the Cat's Blender plugin. If not, it should be in the description. But make sure you install that, and if you don't know how to install that into your Blender, I'm going to be honest, just look it up. It's very easy to install plugins and everything. So now we're going to go up here, and right here is cats. Now for this, when we're making via seams, we're going to start pose mode, and from here, it's going to look like a whole mess. Like the face itself is going to look like a mess. Other characters are going to have different bones for the face because they're different characters, but for specifically Goku himself, he has bones for both his Super Saiyan 3 form, his base form, and his Super Saiyan form. And they're all separate bones for each of those. So what we're going to do, so we can actually see what's going on here, is we're going to go to this little stick guy here, this little dude. We're going to open this up. Then we're going to go to viewport display. And now from here you can change it to whatever you want, whatever works for you. Not that though, and not that. Just whatever works for you. I like using wire. I know some people like using stick, but I'm going to be using wire. Then I'm going to go up here, and the way I'm like moving around like this is by hitting the middle mouse button, which is the mouse wheel. I'm going to go up here, go to orthographic view, right, and I'm going to go in. And normally I would put a shader on this, and you can do that, but I'm not going to explain how to put a shader in this tutorial. I'm just going to eye it, and what we're going to do is we're going to make viseams. So bear in mind, while you're making viseams, everything that you move will move when you talk. So if you don't want your top teeth looking like your dentures are falling out, don't move the top teeth while you're doing viseams. You can move whatever you want as the rest pose, and we'll talk about that in a second. But when you're making viseams themselves, move only what you want to move. So if you accidentally move a piece of the hair, that's going to be moving crazy while you're talking. So be very wary of that. And now, if we go over here, we're going to be making just basic viseams. With viseams, you're going to have to, like, it's up to your own interpretation on what you want to do. I've been doing this for years, so how I do it is way different than how I used to do it. It's like an art form in a way, but it's up to you. But since I don't really care much for this, I'm just going to do it. But before I do that, the base pose, now for that, you can move whatever you want. You can move the eyebrows or whatever, basically just to make it not the default fighter's pose. Most characters, their default fighter's pose does not look great, but for certain characters, it looks pretty alright. Like for Super Saiyan Goku, because I've seen it so many times, it's rubbed off on me and I don't really like it, like his base pose. But I know that some people think it looks fine. Android 16's base pose for his face is pretty good out of the door, you know. But it really just depends on what character you're working on and everything. So we're going to just pose it a little bit so it doesn't look basic. You see how this says face L? That's not the one we want. We want this one. That's the regular one. We're just gonna like move this. Also, bear in mind this right here. I turned this on because it mirrors it, so that also affects the left one as well when I pose it. Make sure that's on while you're making viseams and everything. It makes it 10 times easier. And I'm just gonna boom, there we go, and then apply his rest pose. Bam! Now he looks a little more dynamic. Now we're gonna hit pose mode again, and now we're gonna make the viseams. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go here, we're gonna go there we go, and then I'm gonna move this out, this up. Yeah, just whatever you need to do to make it look good. Let's say that's why I want the to look like. You're going to make 3 specific blend shapes. You're going to make one for you're going to make one for O, and make one for sh. And basically, the Cats plugin is going to make it so it mixes those together to make the rest of the viseams that are needed for VHS specifically. So to make it easier on yourself, when you go to pose as shape key, when you name them, specifically name it AA for Now we're going to make the O viseam. And I don't really care much for this, so O. Then we're going to make it say O. And then we're going to make the sh viseam, which is basically like the default state. It uses the Viseme for whatever it needs, so I'm just going to do that. And then name it sh. And then from there, you can add a blinking blend shape if you want, but you don't, it's not really like, it's not a required thing, but for that you would just like move the eye bones and pose that and name it blink. This is also how you make faces on them. Like let's say I want to give them like a little smile, and I just go like, alright, there's a smile, and I'm going to name it smile. And so with that, you know, you can make that a toggle in Unity itself, and from there it will actually look like a smile, and it'll, you know, it'll be a face. But now that we have those three, we're gonna go here. Since these are separated right now, because I want the decals to move with this, I'm gonna click the decal, and I'm gonna shift click the main body, and then I'm gonna do Control J to join them together, just like that. And now when we go down here, sometimes it'll pick them out automatically for you, sometimes it won't. This time it didn't, so I'm gonna click A for this one. This one's O, so I'm gonna click O, and then I'm gonna click Sh for this one. Then we're gonna create Visemes. And then bam, just like that, you have Visemes right here. And now this is somewhat ready to be put into Unity. Now, it really depends on if you want to optimize it. You can by removing unnecessary bones, but I will tell you this. This fix model button in Cat, do not press it. Do not press that button. It brings nothing but bad to specifically Fighterz models. On other models, I don't know. I don't know how it works. I never pressed this button. I did everything myself. It may seem to make your life easier, but do not press this button. Alright? Cool. Now, VRChat specifically prefers the model format to be in FBX form. So we're gonna go here and we're gonna do tutorial model. Now when we export this, make sure you scroll down a little bit. This is for optimization as well. And then click armature, scroll down a little bit more, and turn off add leaf bones. Then we're gonna name this whatever. I'm gonna name it like Goku or something. Now we have Goku. Now on this Goku model, we're gonna need some textures. So I'm gonna go back into here. This is for me to grab textures, but when you get your model done, you should be able to have textures on your own. Now that we have textures, I'm going to go down here and go to Unity Hub. You should have Unity Hub. If you don't, then make sure you download it. It helps a lot. I'm going to go to New Project. And I'm going to name this VRChat. I'm just going to put tutorials. There we go. Make sure it's in 3D Core, and make sure the version is set to the version that's specifically for VRChat right now. At this point, on September 11th, 2023, VRChat is set to 2019 4.31. So I'm going to do that. Make sure it's in the right location, whatever the location is up to you, and I'm going to click Create Project. Now it's going to take a little bit to load, so however long that takes, we'll pick up back from there. Now that this is open, we're going to import everything. So this is the right version. So we very first and foremost, we're going to import our model into here. So we're just going to grab this folder and we're going to move it into this little bar here. And depending on how much is in the folder and how much you put on the model, it should take a bit. But now that that's in there, we're going to go to Assets, Import Package, Custom Package, and we're going to find the ArcSys model here, Arc System Works Shader, and we're also going to be importing the VRChat SDK as well. So let's do that real quick. We have that. Let's put that in there. And this is going to be a lot, but we're going to hit import, and this is going to take a bit depending on how beefy your computer is. So for me, it's not going to take that long, but it's going to take a bit. Alright, it seems to be imported. So now we're also going to import the Arc System Works shader. And we'll see how long that takes. And there we go. Now that we have everything imported, we're going to go into here. And here is our model that we have, and we're going to change this from the generic animation type to the humanoid animation type. And again, depending on how long or how much you put on this model, it should take should take between mere moment or actual minutes. And then just to make sure, we're going to go into configure. And now, be very wary in this mode. Whatever you do to the model, it will affect how your model moves in game. So we're going to make it so that it doesn't do anything jank, and we're just going to make it so it works. Because of how many bones are on Goku, it's going to take a little bit, but there we go. So we're going to zoom in here, see everything, and then normally for VRChat, it doesn't matter too much, but we're going to go to the head, and it put the mouth base as the left eye, and the right eye is the eye base. We're going to just double click this and press delete. Double click, press delete. This does not delete them over here, it just removes them in this hierarchy. Then we're going to go here, and then we're going to click here, because this is set to the upper chest when it should be just set to the chest. So we're going to grab that bone and move it to the chest here. Double click here again and delete. Now the model should work pretty fine, and just to make sure, we're going to sample bind pose and then force T pose and hit apply. Just a tiny little bit. There we go. Now we're going to hit done. Now we're here. We're going to click and drag this model into here, and this is where we're going to set up the actual model. So we're going to go to add component. We're going to type AVA, and we're going to put the avatar descriptor on there. Now, what I would recommend doing before anything, for specifically these type of models, we're going to click the sun here, and the color, we're going to move this over to a pure white color, so we can actually get the exact coloring. Then I'm going to reset this up here. Ooh. Don't reset that actually. Just reset the rotation specifically. Then I'm going to press E to go to rotation mode, and I'm going to hold control while I click this line specifically. And I'm going to make it so this Y says 90 degrees. So we get like an even cut halfway through the model. Now we're going to go find the base texture, and we're going to click and drag this onto the model itself. Then we're going to hit Control Z. We're going to go to the base. We're going to click the decal and drag it on there as well, and then Control D. First, we're going to go here. We're going to put this back on here, but not the decal. And then we're going to take the decal and move it onto there. For the decal, all we have to do is click here, go to Standard, go to Fighterz, Arc System Works, Utilities, and Decal. And now that works on there. Now we're going to go to color 1, we're going to click Goku S, and we're going to go here, Fighterz, Arc System Works, Game Select. Now here is where you decide. Now, if you want to do your own custom textures, I'd recommend going with DNF Dual. It takes a bit more work, and I'll explain why in a second, but it just looks 110 times better. But if you don't want to put in that extra work, but you still want exact coloring, go to Guilty Gear Strive. That will make your models pop a little bit more. But since we're not doing that, we're going to Fighterz. And I'll explain in a second the reasoning for going to Fighterz. Since we're just using the base Fighterz colors, like we're not making our own custom colors or anything, and we're just using these, we're going to be using the Fighterz shader. Now, it's going to look a little daunting, all of this, but it's going to look worse, because we're going to go up to the editor version. We're going to change it from basic to advanced. Now we got a lot more options, but first we need to put the actual textures onto here. So I'm going to click this where it says base texture. I'm going to click it. I'm going to move the SSS into where it says SSS texture. Now we have an SSS color, but it still looks weird. So we're going to go down here where it says base, and we're going to click that. Then we see the ILM, and that just goes in the ILM. Ooh, it's looking a lot better now. Then we're going to go to the detail. We're going to move in the detail. Now it looks really good. Now from here, you can change the shader however you like. Like you can change the light direction, the color settings, or whatever. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mess with it a little bit. I'm not going to do my my normal shading that I usually do for this tutorial. I'm just going to mess with the stuff real quick, and I'm going to go along and we're going to look at it. Alright, and if we go down here and go to outline, we're going to turn this on, go down here, and I changed mine to 2, but you notice it's really thick. That's because this option here, disable that. And now it looks pretty alright. Then we're going to go to outline color, and you can keep it on this multiply where it does like the base color that goes over and just, you know, multiplies it and shit. However, I don't like that, so I change it just to black. And now from here, we're going to set up the actual avatar. So we're going to click on this model again, and then we're going to move the eye position, which is this little dot here. This is where you see from. So we're going to hit edit, and now we can actually move this around, and all you have to do is move it in between the eyes here. So let me grab it. And you can also use the scroll wheel to change the speed at where you're going. I'm going to grab this and just shove it between his eyes, and then bam. And since we made viseams, all we got to do is click auto detect, and there's the viseams. Down here, these two settings are for full body and half body. So this right here, the top one, auto footsteps, is what makes it so that when you're in half body, the legs don't just like slide along the floor when you're standing still. They actually like, you know, tiptoe between. I'll show footage of this maybe, I don't know, I'll probably be too lazy to do so. But that's what they do. And then this one down here, force locomotion, this doesn't really matter anymore because of the new IK update, but just in case, I like to turn this off so that full body users don't, like, when they move forward, like crunch their entire body while they move. Now we're going to go to eye look, we're going to hit enable, and now we're going to find where the eyes are, and you're going to be digging deep. So just follow how I'm going. If I'm going too fast, make sure you slow down or pause the video. Now here's where the eyes are. And we're going to click the left eye, move it over to the left eye bone, right eye bone. Now, when you hit preview, this is how you actually edit where they are. You can use numbers and whatnot, but it will turn on preview no matter what. So, for every character, it's a little different on how far they can go and all that. But the looking straight is where your eyes are normally going to be. So, that's where I want them. Then I'm going to click looking up, and he's looking upwards. I'll click looking down, he's looking downwards. Click looking left, it's their left, not our left. So we'll have to do that, and then do that, and return. Now if you did a blinking animation, like a blinking blend shape, you can click this and go to blend shapes, and then you just click and drag the body into here, and then you just find where it says blink, but we didn't make one. So now we're gonna go down here, and this is where things get a little complicated. And this is where things get a little complicated. We're gonna click customize, and there's all of these. Now, I'm gonna explain what each one does. One of them I don't really understand that much, but I'll try to explain it as best as I can. The base is literally what it says, your locomotion. So like if you have a different locomotion layer, which will be a tutorial for later, you would put it there. Idle, I don't know. I don't really know what that is. But gesture is basically what shape your hands make. So if you have a gesture layer, if you have my gesture layer for Fighterz models, you would put it there. And how you would put it there is you literally click it and you drag it into there. Action is where your emotes come in. Your little dances, your little hoo-has, right? And you just put it there, the actual layer itself. Effects is for your toggles and all that whatnot. So like for your transformations, they would be here. For your toggles, they would be here. For like your material changes, they would go here. It would go, that FX layer would go here. These, I don't mess with these too often, so I'm not going to tell you how those work, but then we go down here to expressions, and this is where your parameters and menu will be. When we go over to the toggle tutorial, I will explain what goes here and how to get those things. But since this is just a basic avatar, I'm going to click reset to default. It's going to tell me, you know, don't do that, but I'm going to do it, and then we'll reset these to default too. Now, we're going to add fizz bones to whatever we need to add fizz bones to. Now, we're going to find where the bones for the hair are, so we're going to go searching again. Normally it's hair base, and that's where it is. You can just Control Z to undo damage to it. Then we're going to go here, click here, going to type bone, and the fizz bone is going to be right here. Now, since we didn't add extra leaf bones, it will only, these little lines are what is moving currently, but since it's not like, oh, why is it going to here? Where's the rest of the hair bones? There's a lot of hair bones here. Why is it only like 3 showing up? That's because we have to change the endpoint position. So we could just do like 0.001 or 2 or whatever. Just change it so that everything is covered. And when that's there, you can edit the settings or whatever. I normally go for like this, and that tends to work. Collision is basically like how far the hand needs to be for it to move. I just do something like that. That tends to work most of the time. Squatch and stretch is for like if you want to like bounce and stuff. All these settings you can look at another video tutorial for. This is specifically for Fighterz. And now since everything is technically set up properly, we're going to go up here to the VRChat SDK and show control panel. Then this little menu is going to pop up, and I'm going to log in real quick. Now, if you have your 2-factor authentication set up, it will go to that app, but if not, it will go to your email. And then that's set up. We're going to go to Builder. And it's going to say your avatar is very poor and all this other stuff because of everything that's on it currently. We're just going to hit autofix on everything that we can autofix right now. And then once that's done, we got a very poor performance because of the amount of bones. Again, if you optimize your avatars, you wouldn't have this issue because you can just remove like all the excess bones, like for example all the Super Saiyan 3 bones and base form bones, since we don't use those on this form. So then we're going to click upload and publish, and depending on how beefy your PC is, it will take either moments or hours or whatever. Not hours, that's exaggeration, my fault. Now that we're here, it's kind of, for my version of Unity, it does this weird thing where like I can barely see what's on the screen. All you have to do is go up to the scale thing and change it to 1, and now you can see. Now I'm going to name this Tutorial Goku. and you give it a description or whatever. These don't really do much. Like I don't see how these are used in game. And if you want it to be a private model, set it to private. If you want it to be a public model, set it to public. So I'm just gonna make this public because why not? That's what I do. Then you click you understand, everything above is accurate, and you're gonna hit upload. And congratulations, you finished your first avatar. Now, I will be making other tutorials later on in the future on other things like transformations, auras, and whatnot. But this is how you do a basic upload. And the rest is up to you. So good luck and get creating.